keep track of every person who appears before an official hearing officer of the county, whether in an effort to influence the decision-making or to encourage the passage, defeat, or modification of any proposal or recommendation. In order to implement state law, it is required that every person who appears before me be registered with the clerk to my left over here. The cases where the respondent are present and signed in will be heard first. You will be sworn in or affirmed by the clerk. Once all cases where the respondents are present have been heard, I will return to hear the remaining cases as they appear on the agenda. When your case is called, please be seated at the table reserved for the respondents, which is the table over here. In that the county has the burden of proving a violation exists, the county will present their case, and then the respondents will be allowed to present their case. Additionally, please limit your comments to only information relating to the case. Each party may question witnesses offered on behalf of the other party. Additionally, staff members may question those appearing before me. I will then make my decision based upon the evidence and testimony as presented by both parties. All proceedings before me are electronically recorded. Please speak directly into the microphone at the center of the table and state your name and address clearly before presenting your case. Should you need assistance due to a hearing impairment or a language barrier, please inform the clerk upon registration. To avoid interference with cases being presented, all cell phones and other electronic devices are to be turned off or silenced while inside the chambers. If there's anyone here that's going to be testifying that hasn't signed in with the clerk yet for their case, just let us know and come up. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, just come up real quick and we'll... Okay, we're not starting yet, but just for the respondent to know, the first case we will be handling is 22-103 CESM, respondent Thomas Courtwright. Thank you. I heard. And then are the individuals in the back also?
Y'all here for Lake Ave? Yes. Please come sign in at the front. Just right around here to the front.
It didn't. Your name? Linda Craig.
Okay, County, we are ready when you are.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22-103 CESM is for the property located at 5675 Deer Path Lane, Sanford, which is owned by Thomas J. Courtwright, Jr. The violation charged is Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violations are remodel of interior of garage into apartment, including plumbing, electrical, HVAC, spray foam, insulation, new windows and doors, large metal building, carport, 2 sheds, shipping container, 2 gazebos, and modification of swimming pool without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 5/3/22. Notice to respondent was 5/5/22. Compliance date was 8/9/22. Follow-up inspections as shown both on-site visit and via computer. Results of the re-inspections are that the violations remain on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows 5675 Deer Path Lane, Sanford, with Thomas J. Courtwright as the record owner of the property. This is the posted notice of this hearing on the property. And these are the start of a series of pictures of the violations on the property. This was taken 5/3/22 of the carport. These are the gazebo. This is the interior of the bathroom on the garage that's been converted to an apartment. These are more pictures from that converted apartment. Continuing with that converted apartment for the next few photos. All right. Now we've started on the exterior. This is the large metal building. And we've got the pool that's been modified and another series of accessory buildings. And then this shows the spray foam that's inside the converted apartment. This was taken 7/21, 8/11, and finally 12/7, just showing that you can see the metal building and a couple of the other little structures there. This screen shows an application for the carport and metal building were received on 8/29/22. Permits 22-149, permit applications, 22-14927 and 22-14925. These applications are currently awaiting payment and have not been issued as permits. Permit 22-14922 is a fence permit application that is also currently waiting payment, which is not part of the violation. And we can go from the top, that is a carport permit. The next one down is for the metal building. Under that is the fence inspection, the fence permit. Then we have an electrical service swap, followed by a void, and then a re-roof. So none of those permits, other than the ones we'd mentioned before, are currently affecting our violation. This is a copy of the application and date applied for. And this shows a copy of Chapter 40, in which they are in violation of. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-103 CESM, is determined that the respondent is the record owner of the property located at 5675 Deer Path Lane in Seminole County, as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondent to correct the violations on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violations, the respondent shall obtain the required permits for the cited violations. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violations continue or are repeated after compliance. The respondent must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. So what remaining permits does he have to apply for to come into compliance that he has not yet applied for?
Okay, so there's going to be a few. So we're going to need a remodel permit for the garage that's been converted to an apartment. I'm just getting over to the...
Take your time.
Okay, so he's got one of the carport covered that he's going to be getting a permit for once it looks like he pays for it, essentially. The 30 by 60 metal building looks like it's in the same situation. That fence was not part of our violation. So it looks like we're going to need that remodel, which will cover all of the garage into apartment items, which are the plumbing, electrical, HVAC, spray foam insulation, new doors and windows. Let's see, we've got metal building and carport, so we're still just going to need the 2 sheds, shipping containers, 2 gazebos, and the modification of the swimming pool.
And what permit does he need for the shipping container?
An accessory structure. It's permitted the same as a shed.
Okay. And so I guess that's the same for the gazebo, and then we've got the pool. Okay, and then my other question was, when you showed the pictures of the interior of the apartment conversion, how did you get those? Did you have permission of the property owner?
Correct. I met
Okay.
with the homeowner and went on site.
I just wanted that for the record. Okay, thank you, Kyle. And then respondent, would you like to respond and state your name for us?
Yes, ma'am. Thomas Courtwright, 5675 Deer Path Lane.
Okay, and then I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I realized we did not swear you or anybody else in, so we're going to do that now.
If everybody who's testifying could stand and raise their right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Do.
Do you swear or affirm? Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Kasich, then let me just ask you, was your prior testimony all true?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
I have a couple questions, I guess, first off. So I purchased the property in September of '21. So a lot of these structures that are being mentioned, the sheds, the gazebos, all of that stuff was pre my arriving and taking ownership. Is there not, I have to bring all that into compliance even though it was purchased that way? I guess that's one of my problems I'm having. Trying to get permits for structures that are 30 years old is going to, they're not going to pass today's building codes. So that's my first question and problem I have there. I've applied for the permits for the carport and the metal building, even though those were there as well when I purchased the property. However, since they're new, I'll go on and apply for the permits. It's not financially, they're not waiting on payment on those, they're waiting on the health department to give the no notice because there's no plumbing in there. I've been waiting on that for over a month. The reason this has taken so long is I applied for a survey right after I met with Mr. Kasich. That took 3 months to get out there and get done. And then so on and so forth. And now I'm waiting on an engineer for the apartment drawings so that I can present them to get a permit for those. I was not aware that I would need a permit for remodeling a structure that was already there. I guess to the extent I did, I needed it, so I'm applying for that as well as the other ones. But the previous structures is what I'm looking for a little lenience on because, again, they're 30 years old. I mean, I'm going to have to take them down or get rid of them or replace them. Obviously, they're not going to pass the code. And the pool modification is another question I have. There was a koi pond back there that was filled in. There was no modification to the pool, so they have no idea what permit you're looking for me to give. So if you let the permit office know whatever you want me to do there, because they don't know when I went in there and talked to Jacqueline.
Okay.
She doesn't know how to address that because there's no plumbing, there's no electrical. I just filled in a koi pond. So there's no actual work
Okay.
on the pool.
I will speak to the permit techs after this on that. I do believe they would be looking for a demolition permit, just so that they have a record that the pool has been filled in, which is, or the underground structure has been filled in. I believe that's the biggest concern on that, making sure it doesn't become like a breeding ground for insects and things. So I do believe it is a demo permit they're going to want, but I will definitely check afterwards.
So with respect to the old structures, the county can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you are required, when you buy the property, if anything's unpermitted, you have to come into compliance. That's not as a punishment to you, it's as mostly a public safety thing. For example, depending on what the permit is for, things can, if they don't meet wind load and so on, people can get injured. The reason for permits is that, one of the reasons. So that's the general rule. However, if there was a structure that was old enough to predate the requirement in the first place, you might have a grandfathering there, but I don't know that to be the case now. The building code's been around requiring permits for quite a while.
It would have to predate 1984, and he would have to somehow prove that it predated 1984.
So what we'll do is, there's clearly a violation, but we're not going to impose any fines. You'll get until February 2nd to come into compliance. That means either permitting or remove the structures. And then at that time, if you're still not in compliance, you can either request more time and show that you've been working on it, or you can, try to talk to staff and they can tell me what y'all agree to or don't agree to.
My only fear is that 60 days is not going to be enough for that apartment, just because, again, an engineer told me I'm looking at 4 weeks until he even gets the drawings approved, and then it's going to take more than that to get a permit issued on it. I don't feel that 60 days is going to be enough time for that.
How much time do you think you need?
At the rate they're going, honestly, 90 to 120 days probably. I'm just being honest.
I can give you 90 days. I know the county didn't want to do more than 60, but my take of your credibility right now is that you seem like you are really trying to get this in order and that you just bought this house with some issues you didn't know about. So I will go ahead and give you the 90 days, and hopefully it can get addressed in that time, but if not, you can just work with staff, or else I'll see you back in 90 days, I guess. So that would bring us to March 9th. So that would be your next compliance day. Now, if it's not in compliance at that time and you don't get a time extension, you could be having $50 a day at that time be imposed.
Understood.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next case is 22-105 CESM, respondent Ms. Novoa. And I'm just trying to call them in the order I saw everybody come in. You can come right up here, ma'am. Good afternoon, thank you.
I have this. Yeah. These are copies of,
Is it extra?
yeah, I got the new ones.
Including this one too?
Yes. To show you that I am doing something.
This, do you want me to make a copy?
Okay.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22-105 CESM is for the property located at 1348 Ortega Street, Winter Springs, which is owned by Teresa N. Novoa. The violation charged is Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violation is constructed separate dwellings in the home into 3 apartments without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 9/28/20. Notice to respondent was 9/28/20. Compliance date was 8/23/22. Follow-up inspections as shown both on-site visit and via computer. Results of re-inspections, the violation remains on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows Teresa N. Novoa is the record owner of the property. This is the posted notice for this hearing on the property. This is the door to the garage living space taken 9/28/20. Further pictures 9/28/20. This is the AC unit on the converted garage. And this is another new AC unit. This shows the converted living spaces taken on 9/28/20. And these are the bathrooms for those living spaces. Continuing. And so this is another inspection, 8/5/22. So this will show the garage living space. So this is the door to the garage and the AC unit. This is the converted living space taken 8/5/22. And these are further pictures of the converted living space taken on that date. All right, and then we get into 8/24/22. This is the exterior of the garage. These 12/7/22 showing the living space in the garage. You can see the AC through the opening in the fence, and you can see that second door opening on the top picture. This screen shows an application was received on 10/21/22 to correct the violation. This application is currently under review pending corrections and has not been issued as a permit. Permit 22-17930 residential alteration permit is currently in PC status pending multiple corrections. 22-12428 is for rooftop solar panels. 21-4550 is a shed. 21-4548 is for a fence and gates, and 083116 is for an addition on the right rear of the home. No permits issued for the separate dwellings. So this is a screen that shows the survey provided by the homeowner showing the proposed addition that is associated with the permit 083116. This is to show that the living spaces in the garage were not included under this permit. This is the copy of the application and date applied for. This is for permit 22-17930. This permit, the corrections needed, there were P&D impact fees, last action taken 10/28/22, Residential building review, last action taken 11/2/22, and zoning corrections, last action taken 10/26/22. This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they are in violation of. Recommendation, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-105 CESM, is determined that the respondent is the record owner of the property located at 1348 Ortega Street, Winter Springs, in Seminole County, which is determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondent to correct the violation on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violation, the respondent shall obtain the required permits for the cited violation. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. The respondent must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does the respondent wish to respond?
Yes, hi, my name is Teresa Novoa, and I've been dealing with this for a couple of years. I had 3 violations. I have finished 2 of them. The mother-in-law suite, it's been done legally in 10 years. My mom did that, and she passed away. She lived 100 years. So you keep showing that pictures, but that's all legal. Okay. The only thing that I have left is the living area. We all connected inside, because I remember you coming and I walked you through. Is the living area and the garage. I only have 1 kitchen in the house. Okay. The mother-in-law suite only has microwave, refrigerator, and the garage too. And I travel and I have roommates, and I show you I stay in the master bedroom, okay? And I don't have a kitchen. We only have 1 kitchen. So if we need to cook, we go to that kitchen or buy food. Okay, I am trying to finish this up. It's very overwhelming with me. I'm a single mom, retired, and I need to finish this. Whatever it takes, I gave you the copies when I came in. Now they're asking me, I don't know a lot about this thing, they're asking me a copy, I guess, of the, what you show on the house, because that's inside the garage. I didn't do anything outside. So I will follow up with whoever, send me that. I have copies. I just didn't give it to them when I apply. So as soon as all of this is reviewed, I'll start with the permits, because we have to do plumbing and electricity. They have to come and check the insulation. I don't have no spray insulation on because it's inside the garage. It's the same roof, and the pictures that you saw, I do have, I got electro solar system. So, that's why when you went, and I'm pretty sure they have all the permit and everything. Everything passed. They're working good now. So hopefully I don't have $522 a month, electricity, then I'll have much less. So I'm trying to do what I need to do to survive, but I will, it's been done. Of course, I didn't have permit, but I'm pretty sure when all this is done and we all inspect everything, everything will be okay. Anything that I need to correct, it will be done.
Thank you. And I didn't see the documents that were submitted by the respondent. What were those, permit applications or receipts or? Oh, okay. Showing that the permit was submitted?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Does the county have any response?
Negative. We're good for the standard 60 days. Again, as soon as your permit is issued for the remodel, the violation will be taken care of.
Yes.
It doesn't require passing the inspections later on with the violation. as soon as it's issued,
Yes,
the violation goes away.
Yes.
Now, then you do have the standard 180 days from the time of
Oh, yeah.
issuance of permit to pass an inspection.
Yeah.
And if you do let that expire, our case would come back. But as far as getting rid, like finishing the case out, literally as soon as that permit is fully issued, call me and we close the case.
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll go ahead then and issue staff's recommended order to give you until February 2nd to come into compliance, so there's no fines until then. If it's not in compliance by then, you may have a fine of up to $50 a day, or you can come back and ask for more time.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you all. You have Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is going to be Respondent Natasha Lalane, and it's number 22100 CESM. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22-100 CESM is for the property located at 3333 Coleus Court, Winter Park, which is owned by Natasha Lalane. The violation charged is Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violation is installation of a fence without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 5/3/22. Notice to respondent was 5/4/22. Compliance date was 8/2/22. Follow-up inspections as shown both on-site visit and via computer. The results of the re-inspections are that the violation remains on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows Natasha Lalane is the record owner of the property. This photograph shows the posting of the notice for this hearing on the property. This is a picture of the violation taken 5/3/22, 7/12/22, 10/11/22, and finally 12/7/22. This screen shows an application was received on 5/10/22 to correct the violation. This application is currently under review and has not been issued as a permit as of this date. This is a copy of the application and date applied for. Plan tracking information shows that the permit is in PC status since 5/17/22 pending corrections from zoning for setbacks. This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they are in violation of. Recommendation, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-100 CESM, is determined that the respondent is the record owner of the property located at 3333 Coleus Court, Winter Park in Seminole County, as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondent to correct the violation on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violation, the respondent shall obtain the required permit for the cited violation. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. The respondent must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does the respondent wish to respond?
My name is Natasha Lalan. Me and my neighbor, we wanted to have a little privacy because we previously have a fence, a metal fence, probably 3 feet height. So we decided that we were going to put the fence so we can have privacy. So I bought the fence and he installed it. when I get the first violation, I came and make an application. They give me a number, and the person never told me, she told me everything was okay since I make an application. So I never received any email, phone call, or anything to tell me to correct anything. But my neighbor was receiving all those letters about the correction. So when he told me, and he said he knows what he's gonna do to get it fixed, so he get it fixed. But on Tuesday, when I get the hearing letter, so I came here on Tuesday and I spoke to one of the person over there, and she told me that the survey showing that I went off with the fence when I draw the line on the survey. And I explained to her that as you see in the picture, the fence doesn't pass the house. It's right by the door for the garage. It's in the border of the house. So I explained to her, she made some correction on that survey where I draw the line. She said she's gonna send it to review, and then they will contact me. So I gave her my number and my email, so hopefully I will get something back. And I don't really know what I need to correct it from the fence.
Okay, let me just ask you a question. Is your address 3333 Coleus Court?
Yes, my address is 3333 Coleus Court.
Okay, and then which neighbor got your notices?
My neighbor John, which live next to me, so that's where the fence
Right,
separate our house.
but she doesn't live at, he or she doesn't live at 3333?
No.
Okay.
I'm living in that, at this address.
So before you got the hearing notice, did you get notices of the violation?
They give me notice, but there, in the notice, there is nothing explained to correct anything. But he knows about the corrections. He said that he spoke to the inspector regarding that, so the inspector told him what to get corrected. So last weekend, he made some arrangement, but I'm not sure if it's, what he did was right. But when I came here and I spoke to someone, she told me it's because the line I draw on the survey was past 25 feet. But I believe was my mistake. When I make the line on the survey, I didn't stop exactly by the border or right by the garage door.
I see.
So she made the correction on the paper, and she said she will send it to review.
Okay, and how long ago was
So
that?
that was
last week?
this week on Tuesday.
Okay, so, so the permit is with the permit office now?
correct.
Okay, so I think it should be corrected within 60 days, right?
Shouldn't be a problem within 60 days.
Okay, ma'am, so what we'll do, I mean, it's in violation, so we'll find it in violation and give you 60 days to correct it, but you have no fines until then, okay? And then in 60 days, if it's still an issue, you can ask for more time, or you'll be back here to talk about whether you're in compliance or not. But I would say stay in touch with that building permitting office yourself, so that you can understand if something comes up between now and then, so that you don't get stuck.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next case is 22109 CESM, respondent Madeline Waldo.
This is the last respondent present, right? No. James.
Oh, okay. That's right, they came in last. Yeah.
Can I give this?
Yeah, that would
Talk
take
about
care
this
of
a
it.
little bit.
Oh, okay, is this a copy for her?
It's not a copy.
Okay.
If
Do you
it's
need-
submitted, we have to keep it.
If it's submitted, it has to say,
Oh, okay, well, I'll keep it, but I will make copies and get it to her if I need to.
Thank you.
get you your,
Hello.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22-109 is for the property located at 1230 Woodmere Drive, Altamont Springs, which is owned by Madeline T. Waldo. The violation charged is Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violations are installation of a fence, 2 AC units, enclosed garage/carport, and multiple accessory structures in backyard consisting of a box truck back, wood shed with tarp over, and an aluminum carport with tarp walls without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 4/29/22. Notice to respondent was 5/13/22. Compliance date was 8/5/22. Follow-up inspections as shown both on-site visit and via computer. The results of the re-inspections are that the violations remain on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows Madeline T. Waldo is the record owner of the property. This is a photograph showing the posting of the notice for this hearing on the property. These will be a series of photographs of the violations taken on 4/29/22. We'll start with an AC unit. We've got those 2 AC units that have been put through holes in the wall. There's the box truck back that I referred to. You can see one of the tarp-covered structures there, and that is the tarp-walled carport. This is a door opening in the wall. You can see that work has been done on it. You can see the foam around it. And this was what looks to be an enclosed garage. And this is the fence that they've built. This is the tarp-covered wooden shed that was referenced. This is a door knocker left 7/12/22. Another knocker left 8/25/22. And these were taken 12/7/22. You can see the front of the garage, the fence, and on the bottom photo to the right, you can see the carport. This screen shows no permits applied for or issued to correct the violation. The 14 going back.
Did I go back? I'm sorry.
The top permit is to connect county water, so that is not any of the accessory structures. Go ahead, next. This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they are in violation of. Recommendation, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-109 CESM, is determined that the respondent is the record owner of the property located at 1230 Woodmere Drive, Altamont Springs in Seminole County, as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondent to correct the violations on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violations, the respondent shall obtain the required permits for the cited violations. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violations continue or are repeated after compliance. The respondent must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does the respondent wish to respond?
Yes,
Okay, what's your name for the record, ma'am?
Madeline Waldo,
Okay, and you're the property owner?
yes.
Okay.
I guess when Kyle first came, apparently this doesn't matter, but some of those structures have been there over 30 years before I was even there. So I never had any idea. And also, I did not know that you needed permits for a lot of this stuff. I've never dealt with that before. In the meantime, my house is under foreclosure and has been for months now, dragging on. In fact, it was supposed to be settled November 22nd, there's a copy of one of the pleadings here. Then they continued it because they said because of a disaster hold in Florida, they stopped that date, and I haven't heard another word from them, but I'm expecting foreclosure to be imminent anytime, and I will be out of my home and have nowhere to go at all right now. I've been trying and trying. My daughter did correct the fence. Some of the other stuff, I haven't had anybody to help tear down anything. It just sounds like a sad story, but I don't know what else to tell you. She's my handy woman. She does all kind of things, but some things she can't do. So, I am expecting the foreclosure anytime, and so I assumed, when I hadn't heard anything in the last couple of months, I said, well, they probably know that the house is in foreclosure, because every lawyer and every real estate in the city know it. They come out of the woodwork, so I just assumed you all knew it too, that it was in foreclosure, and, it's going to be gone. It's all going to be gone. So I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sorry I didn't know about the permits. I didn't. Just allowed it to be this way.
Thank you, ma'am. I assume the county knows that if you start these proceedings after a lis pendens is filed, you may be wiped out.
Could you please repeat that?
Well, I'll let the county attorney talk to you about that stuff. I'll just deal with the violation. But you might have some legal issues with a property in foreclosure later. So did you have a response to the respondent, first off?
Negative. As far as I'm tracking, when it comes to our case, we're just purely concerned about the property. So unless y'all have different input, as far as I'm tracking, it doesn't seem to really matter who the owner is. It's just purely the violations are a part of the property. And
I understand that, but she said a lot of it was there for more than 30 years. So how did someone complain?
Correct. This was off
Gotcha.
of a complaint.
Yes, I
Okay.
believe I had a neighbor
Okay. Okay, that makes more sense
that
because,
had complained.
There's one structure that is newer that they built for a work tent, and then that's what the neighbor was complaining about.
okay. Has the respondent submitted any permit applications yet?
Negative.
Negative. And there's multiple that she would need.
Correct.
Well, what's your request, ma'am? I mean, you're admitting you're in violation of the code. Are you asking for more time, or do you just want us to go ahead and find this violation? I mean, right now, the county wants me to give you 60 days. Do you think that's enough time?
To
To
correct things?
Well, okay, so you can either get permits, or you can remove the unpermitted things.
Or I may not have the house at all anymore after
you-
that. I mean,
yeah.
before that, I imagine.
Yeah.
So do I need to let you all know if it's actually, the foreclosure's finished?
No, I think the county can handle that on their own. Yeah, I mean, you can let them know if you want to. I can't give you legal advice, you'd need your own lawyer, but all I can do is talk about this violation. You've got some unpermitted things, that list of items that we had on the first page, if you want to put it back. But, so those items need either permits or to be removed. The county wants to give you 60 days before they start imposing fines. Do you need more time, or do you think you could submit for applications or remove these things? It's a fence, air conditioning units, the garage, accessory structures, there's a bunch of things
Maybe
there.
a little more time?
Yeah, I mean, for that number of things, even if she submitted her application tomorrow, I don't believe she would have that many permits in 60 days. So I just don't think it's realistic. I'll go ahead and make it 90 days, which will give you until March 9th. And at that point, you can come back and tell the county, what you've done, if you need more time or not. We don't have to give you more time at that point. We can go ahead and start issuing fines. But if you are in touch with the county, they may be able to work with you, given the situation.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't need to see these, right?
I don't, ma'am. Thank you. You have a good afternoon. Okay, what I believe is the final case where a respondent is present is 22104 CESM. Respondents, Mr. and Mrs. Cram.
Okay, and it's, doesn't matter, that's fine.
Good afternoon. Thanks. Do you need to see this? Is that what this is? Yeah, and then her notes. Okay.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22104 CESM is for the property located at 6070 Lake Avenue, Sanford, which is owned by James W. and Linda Cram. The violation charge is Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violations are installation of 2 sheds, a barn, barn-style accessory structure, 2 carports, pole barn, porch attached to mobile office, playhouse, small accessory structure, and access control unit without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 5/3/2022. Notice to respondent was 5/25/2022. Compliance date was 8/10/2022. Follow-up inspections as shown both on-site visit and via computer. Results of re-inspections, the violations remain on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows James W. and Linda Cram are the record owners of the property. This is a photograph of the posting of the notice for this hearing on the property. This is an aerial photograph, 12/22/2020. This shows multiple accessory structures. You can see the mobile office, porch addition, one of the sheds, carport, and the barn-style accessory structure. This shows the carport on 6070 Lake Ave from aerial. And this is another aerial of a carport. This shows the barn, the pole barn, and the garage. And these are more pictures of the accessory structures. You can see a few more of them. The small accessory structure up to the top right. And then that shed at the bottom left you couldn't see on the previous photos. This is the barn-style accessory structure. This is another of the accessory structures that's up at the front. This is the carport. This is another one of the carports. This is the small playhouse. And this is the pole barn. And that is the mobile office with the porch on front. And this is the porch that was added on to the home in the rear. This is another of the accessory structures. And another accessory structure. This is that, I believe it was a well house?
Pump house, yeah.
Pump house, correct. And this is the gate with opener. This is showing 12/7/22, showing the gate and opener still there. This screen shows no permits applied for or issued to correct the violation. The top permit there is for that large metal building, so that one of those structures was permitted, and the second one there is for a re-roof.
So the one that was permitted, is that one of the ones listed as part of the violation?
Negative, it's not on the violation. If
Okay.
you go back, it's the large one with 3 openings.
Okay.
No, you don't need to go back. This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they are in violation of. Recommendation, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-104 CESM, is determined that the respondent is the owner of record of the property located at 6070 Lake Ave, Sanford, in Seminole County, as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondents to correct the violations on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violations, the respondent shall obtain the required permits for the cited violations. If the respondents do not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. The respondent must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does the respondent wish to respond?
Well, the first thing that I would say was we took bad advice 20 years ago and compounded that through the years. You know, you have contractor friends and they tell you one thing and you think they know or that they're telling you the right thing. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Now, I've tried to give you a timeline of the things that were done. I didn't know about a lot of this in the very beginning because I've been working in businesses in Citrus County, so I'm not there all the time. My husband and my son were kind of handling it. He got to the point where he felt that this was just overwhelming. He couldn't wrap his head around what needed to happen. So I spoke to Kyle. I met him at the property. We walked. It told me, you know, these are the things that need to be done. Going to have to have an engineer. That turned into a huge deal. Well, you can see in the timeline, I called every engineer and architect, starting in a radius to find one. I actually, a recommendation from a friend actually hooked me up with Jack Grease Engineering. I met with him on the property last Friday. We walked the property. He told me what I needed to have. The 2 carports, the 2 sheds, and the large barn accessory, the big RV carport. Those we bought, so I had to go to those companies and ask them for the engineer drawings or whatever was necessary. That turned into calls and calls and calls. I do now have those drawings for both carports, both sheds, and I was called this morning on my way here to tell me that the plans that I paid for the big RV carport a couple months ago were being mailed. I had to pay for those. They're on their way to me. I should have those either Saturday or Monday. They're being mailed, so I'll have those. Grease Engineering is going to do all of the drawings. He's going to review all of these engineer drawings that I have from the companies too, to make sure that anything that's different now as far as wind load, tie downs, whatever it is that we have to do to make those right, he's going to tell me what that is. I have applications started for all of them, but I'm trying to be concise about what I bring to the county and be comprehensive about making the changes that I need to do as far as tie downs on the things that I can do right now, and then he'll do the drawings for the building, the barn, or whatever, it's the red barn, it's our garage behind the house, that has to start from scratch. The deck on my back of my house is not attached to the house other than the metal that goes to the re-roof. It's a freestanding structure, and I think the little deck on the office trailer, that deck right there, the only thing that's connected is with the metal flashing where it meets the house. The engineer looked at that as well. He's going to do the drawings for this. You know, I've got to give him some information. I've got to do a little bit of legwork for him so that he knows how to incorporate that. He has guys working for him. I do not know what that's going to take. My intention is to have everything he needs and to have as many of these things done as I can before the end of the month, because I have shoulder replacement in the middle of September. I have the other one being replaced at the end of December. I'll be out of it for a little while, so I want everything in his court to be able to get those drawings done. He says he has multiple guys that do these drawings for him. He's bringing one of those guys back out to the house to walk this all again, so so that that guy knows what he's doing. So as soon as I give him the things he's requested from me, which will be probably before Thursday of this coming week, it's just a lot of details. But I told him that I would have him all of that for him so that they can get that started, and then it's kind of just up to him as how quickly he gets it done. He knows what my issues are. He said he would take care of it, so.
I have to say, it's impressive that you got those drawings from those pre-built structures.
They're horrible.
You might be the only person I've ever heard that actually got those drawings.
They did it.
Most people never get them.
Yep.
So congratulations on
Well, you can
that.
see how many times I called them, and I got to the point where finally, I think it was Carolina Carports, I left messages with their engineering department. I don't even know how many times. I put down as many as I could remember. But when I called back, the lady said, "Oh, I'll transfer you to engineering." I said, "Stop right there." I said, "Don't transfer me anywhere. I get voicemail." I said, "Find a body, just a body." This guy Giovanni, it was 20 minutes on hold. He comes to the phone. I tell him what I need. He says, "Check your email." I went, "You're kidding." "What?" He said, "There you go." He says, "I'm sorry you had that problem." And I'm like, why didn't we do this in August? Why? You know, and you're at the mercy of people, and I'm like, I don't want to pay an engineer to draw a carport. That's crazy. You know, so and I know what they need now, because basically there's 3 tie downs on a side. Current code requires 5. I know what I got to do there. All of those things, I'm going to buy the anchors. The shed company, I talked to them. They're going to come out and put them in, tie it down, and then those are done. So it's daunting. There's 12, 13 items here, you know, so I have a folder for each thing. And it has a permit copy, and it has the drawing copy, and it has a survey in it, and it has everything, so that as I gather that information, I can finish it.
Right.
Then my question will be, I can do the sheds and the carports and the RV carport pretty quickly, because now I'll have all that paperwork. Should I do those now, because I'm going to kind of be on hold for the buildings that have to be drawn?
I think personally think you should do as much as you can up front, because if you do end up needing to come back for more time, you'll be able to show how hard you've been working on it, what you've done.
Right.
And probably the county would be more likely to agree to an extension when they see that you're trying to go as fast as you can.
Right. And other than, like I say, I should have the paperwork that I need. I emailed Jack Grease last night, the engineer, and I said, here's what I have. I'm going to probably speak to him tomorrow. He's the nicest guy. He's 82 years old, and he's retired 20 years, but he says he gets bored. So I'm like, awesome.
You'll keep him busy.
I love you. I'm going to do barbecue for you. But I want to see if he'll just go ahead and review the plans that I already have and do what he needs to do with those, so that I can be finished with those.
Excellent. Okay, what do you think about the county's request for you to have all this done in 60 days?
I don't know what to say. I'd love to say that that's fine, but I'm at the mercy now of the engineer for the drawings. So if he's backed up, I don't know what to expect, because just calling engineers and architects, you know, it's too big, it's too little. We do businesses, we're backed up. I spoke to the gentleman you referred me to in plans review here, spoke to him, and he said, things are getting better. He said, but everybody's pretty busy still. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of at his mercy. So I'm sure he'll be able to give me an estimation once I give him the information he's given me. He should be able to tell me, yeah, no problem, I can meet that date. But if I could get another 30 days beyond that, I'd just like to be done with all of this, you know?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with 90 days, and I'll go ahead and issue that order for 90 days. You probably already heard me say this multiple times, so there's no fines until
Awesome.
that 90 days passes, at which point you can come back and ask for more time, and if we say no, fines could get imposed if you're not in compliance with it.
We are actually, I know that the only thing that's in contention on that office, that mobile office, is that deck, but we're going to go ahead and do what we need to do for the mobile office itself. Put the tie downs in and make that a structure and do a permit and everything on that, just to kind of be proactive about that, because I don't know what we're going to end up doing with that. So I know it won't move again, but I may talk to you about what has to be required, because it's a pretty old mobile office. I don't know what it needs. I might be able, it's by Allied Trailers makes it, so there might be something I can get from them.
Okay.
Yes, this is the office in question.
Right.
Okay. Well, that sounds right then, and I don't usually do so many cases with 90 days, but with Christmas and everything else for everybody and other holidays, Hanukkah and everything going on, we're just going to
Right.
respect that. And
I appreciate that.
yeah, and your surgery. So hopefully we don't see you back in 90 days and it's all done by then, but you'll get the order in the mail.
Awesome. Thank you so
you.
much.
Okay, are there any other respondents in the room? Okay. Then we will go ahead and call the cases without a respondent present. Okay, no problem. That was next anyway. Okay, the next case is 2299 CESM, respondent Wolgast and Wolgast Shea.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22-99 CESM is for the property located at 200 Lakeview Drive, Sanford, Florida, which is owned by Tiffany A. Wolgast and Paula G. Wolgast Shea. The violation charged is Seminole County Code Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violation is installation of a shed with electric without the required permit. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 7/22/22. Notice to respondent was on 7/22/22. Compliance date 9/14/22. Follow-up inspections as shown both on-site visit and via computer. Results of the re-inspections are that the violation remains on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows Tiffany A. Wolgast and Paula G. Wolgast Shea are the record owners of the property. This is the posted notice of this hearing on the property. This is a photograph of the shed taken 7/8/22. Another 7/8/22, 8/24/22, 10/10/22, and finally 12/7/22. This screen shows no permits applied for or issued to correct the violation from the top going down. Permit 22-208 was for a water heater. Then there is a fire safety inspection under that. 21-23090 is a fire loss. Under that is a re-roof, and under that is utility hookup, so none of those are for the accessory structure. This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they are in violation of. Recommendation, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-99 CESM, it is determined that the respondents are the owners of record of the property located at 200 Lakeview Drive, Sanford, in Seminole County, as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondents to correct the violation on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violation, the respondent shall obtain the required permit for the cited violation. If the respondents do not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. The respondents must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, so ordered. Okay, the final case, oh, no, sorry, it's not the final case. The next case is 22-107 CESM, respondent Mr. Ian Williams.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
It's accepted, thank you.
Case number 22-107 CESM is for the property located at 3290 Tala Loop, Longwood, which is owned by Ian R. Williams. The violation charged is Seminole County Code Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violations are installation of drywall, exterior stucco, 2 fireplaces, kitchen wall, tile backer, ceiling build downs in multiple rooms, electrical and wood paneling throughout, shower remodel and wall tile in 3 bathrooms without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 5/26/22. Notice to respondent was 5/27/22. Compliance date was 8/8/22. Follow-up inspections, as shown both on-site visit and via computer, results of the re-inspections are that the violations remain on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows Ian R. Williams is the record owner of the property. This is a photograph of the posting of the notice for this hearing on the property.
And how was the regular notice of violation sent? Was it also posted, or? I mean, is this vacant, or do people reside there?
There is a tenant owner residing there.
Okay. I'm just looking at the pictures. It's a lot of construction with people living in there.
First class and certified in answer to your previous question.
Okay, so the notice of violation was sent certified mail. Thank you.
All right, next. So next is a series of photographs taken 5/25/22 of the remodel that's going on the interior of the home.
I've looked through all the photographs if you just want to go
All
on.
right, so we'll zoom through the photos.
Through the permit page.
Yeah, just go ahead and shuffle all the way to the permit page.
Because just for the record, I've looked extensively at the construction photographs, and I can clearly see it going on.
All right. This shows that no permits have been issued to correct the violations, but we do have 22-19279 in permit issued status for AC changeout, and the one underneath it is, we've got 22-7261 on hold is for window and door replacement. And then in order going down, we have a low voltage alarm, a re-roof, replacement of 15 windows, irrigation well, remodel and extension, and a repipe.
So have you not heard from this respondent at all?
Negative. I met him the initial time that I went in and took the photos, and I have not heard from them since.
It's just an excessive amount of construction, and they have no intent, and they haven't indicated that they want to come in compliance? I see that some permits have been applied for.
I'm not 100% sure. Again, I've met with the homeowner one time. They've never contacted me again since then. I haven't heard anything from them, so.
Okay. So they applied for a couple of permits, but it's not enough for everything they've done, because I don't see anything that deals with the drywall, stucco,
Correct.
fireplaces, kitchen, ceilings.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they're in violation of. Recommendation based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-107 CESM is determined that the respondent is the owner of record of the property located at 3290 Tala Loop Longwood in Seminole County as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondent to correct the violations on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violations, the respondent shall obtain the required permits for the cited violations. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violations continue or are repeated after compliance. The respondent must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Okay, so ordered. The next case is 22-108 CESM, respondent Ignasiak. Oh. Who gave this to you? Okay.
Kyle Kasich, Building Inspector. I have presented a copy of this presentation to the clerk and request it be entered into the record.
So ordered? So accepted?
Case number 22108 CESM is for the property located at 2377 Palm Way, Oviedo, which is owned by Robert M. and Susan Ignaziak. The violation charged is Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. Description of the violations are installation of a shed, standby generator, and propane tank without the required permits. The case summary is as follows. The initial inspection was 5/6/22. Notice to respondent was 5/20/22. Compliance date was 8/8/22. Follow-up inspections, as shown, both on-site visit and via computer. Results of the re-inspections are that the violations remain on the property. This screenshot from the property appraiser's website shows Robert M. and Susan J. Ignaziak are the record owners of the property. This is a photograph showing the posting of the notice for this hearing on the property. These are a series of photographs showing the violations on the property. In this photo, you can see the shed and the propane tank, I believe. Yep, you can see the propane tank there. Next, you can see the generator through there, and if you look to the left, you can kind of see the edge of the propane tank as well. This is another one taken to 7/12/22 showing the shed. 8/24/22 showing the shed. And 12/7/22 showing the shed. This screenshot shows permit application 229263 has been received to demo the existing shed, leaving slab only. This has not been issued yet. It is waiting for a septic letter showing that there is no plumbing or septic in it. From top down, we do have that top permit being a demolition permit. Underneath that is a fence. Underneath that would be to replace AC, and below that would be the county water hookup. So there are no permits associated with the generator or propane tank. This is a copy of the permit application and date applied for. It is currently in PC status, again, pending the receipt of a septic approval letter from the applicant. This shows a copy of Chapter 40 in which they are in violation of. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 22-108 CESM, it is determined that the respondents are the record owners of the property located at 2377 Palm Way, Oviedo, in Seminole County, as determined by the property appraiser's records, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, Section 105.1. It is further recommended that the special magistrate order the respondents to correct the violations on or before February 2nd, 2023. In order to correct the violations, the respondent shall obtain the required permits for the cited violations. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 will be imposed for each day the violations continue or are repeated after compliance. The respondents must contact the inspector to verify compliance. This concludes my presentation.
Okay, I will go ahead and issue staff's recommended order, but I just want to note that before, if it ever gets to the point of a lien imposition at the end of the 60 days, I would want staff to be able to tell me the status of the bankruptcy, because the clerk has handed me evidence of a bankruptcy pending, but I don't see a stay of these proceedings specifically, but we wouldn't want to impose a lien if there is one, so I would just maybe talk to the county attorney before you come back for a lien. And I would say the same thing in any cases where there's a foreclosure, just check with the county attorney, because for me, I'm just going to look at violations. Okay? But thank you. And that was our last case. So next on our agenda is, I believe, approving the minutes from, what meeting? We are approving minutes from November 17th, 2022, and then I will confirm our next meeting date is January, is it 12th? It's not on here. I have 2022. Well, there it is. Okay, it will be January 12th, 2023. Okay, and with that, we are adjourned.